You are now tuned in to Coffee Between Two Immigrants, a show that dives deep into the stories of immigrants that come to this country and have so much to offer, as well as accomplished so much. From business owners to politicians, to some of the most amazing people you'll ever meet. Let's dive in.
Come on, Bill. What do you think?
Good.
We finally got things going.
Yes, exactly, Steven.
So tell me, let's just talk for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and let people know what we're doing.
Exactly.
What are we doing?
So, Steve, actually, we are doing podcast, and that podcast is happening at the University of Canada West together with you and me. So, and then that podcast is for, entrepreneurs, the people who are immigrants. They came here many, many years ago, and now they are successful in their field. And this is kind of motivation for our students and for people who came here recently, so that to show that they can also achieve the best things in their life.
Yeah, I think that's what motivated me too, because this is not a UCW podcast, but we are filming at UCW and we both work at UCW. And for those who don't know, that's University Canada West. And, when we have so many international students, and of course, I'm an immigrant, hence the name Between Two Immigrants. You're an immigrant, and we're doing the first podcast to tell people what we're up to. So we're between two immigrants. And I think really my goal is to show the world. I'm hoping the world sees this. Maybe if just a few people in Canada see it, I'll be happy. But to show people the kind of input and what immigrants do to help make this country a really special country, because I think Canada is great. I'm originally from the United States, and I think the United States is great too. But what makes both of those countries great, I believe, is the immigration.
Okay.
Now, some will argue what kind of immigration. Is it legal immigration? Is it illegal immigration? But we're not going to get into the politics of immigration. What we're going to get into, I think, is the gift of immigration. The fact that people come for a better life. In return, they give a lot to Canada. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree with you, honestly, because people coming here, many immigrants, they have their purpose, and then they come here, let's say, just say that students, for example, they come here to get a good education, higher education. They have a purpose in their life, and that this purpose should be driven by their motivation and by seeing some of the examples of this rich, famous, successful immigrants. So they will have a lots of passion, and then I know for sure they will bring a lot of, values to Canada, and both Americans too. Because people here, Canada is a big spot of the international people. So I know for sure it's going to be the greatest podcast ever. I know for sure.
Fantastic. Well, for sure, we think it's the greatest podcast ever. We'll see if anyone will be interested in it. I'm hoping, and I know you're hoping, to invite a lot of great guests on.
Yeah.
Our goal is to invite mostly people who have immigrated here and who have accomplished something special for the country. Whether they're American or Canadian. I think we'll focus on Canadians because we're in Canada, but I would also like to do North Americans, because so many people have given to the United States too. There's just so much business, so much philanthropic ventures, so much politics that are given to us by the immigrants. Look at our government. Our government is full of immigrants. Our big business in especially our entrepreneurial business is full of immigrants, and then the philanthropic journey that so many of our charities have been on are fulfilled through immigration, and and the people who move here make money, and then they give their money back to philanthropic activities.
Yeah, like donation stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can have a mix of business people and philanthropic people. And it's not to say that we can't have someone on the podcast that maybe raise their children here, because, for instance, my wife, she is someone who raised her children at home. And that's not an easy job. Probably most of the time she would have said, I'd love to go back to work and, and not raise the kids. She had the hardest job. But, and then the kids grow up and they become into business, or they become philanthropic people or something like this. So, every single person adds something to the community.
Exactly. Even the little things is definitely is the matter for community. You know that everything, as we also heard from the top speakers, they say for every solution, for every problem, there's a solution. As the solution is education.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even successful people, successful entrepreneurs, maybe some of them they haven't graduated Harvard University and maybe top schools, but they still have education. So, and then as you have said, even little things it can add the value to the community, and the community is us.
Yeah.
So The community, even there are two people, and that also consider as community.
Well put. Yes. Also, we're going to talk about coffee and drinks, tea, and the name of this podcast. Actually, I think you came up with Brewed Stories. So I came up with the Between Two Immigrants because I'm an immigrant and I want to interview immigrants. And it's kind of a little bit of take between two ferns, if you've ever watched it, which is very politically incorrect. But this is Between Two Immigrants. But you came up with the idea of Brewed Stories. I love coffee and you know that. And so you came up with Brewed Stories. I think that's a great idea. Tell me a little bit about where you came up with that and why you came up with it.
Okay, well, actually, it was in the morning. I woke up and I came to office, and then I was really like, I need to find something for our podcast because you need to start something good and then new. So like if you stop and then stopping is like kind of the same like you stop working and then it's the end of your life. So I said maybe I need to create something new for myself, like for a podcast. And then I came up with the great stories, like because everyone achieving something before achieving, they have a challenge. They will have lots of step backs. They will have lots of pitfalls. So, they have stories to share with the people. So I said, maybe it's about time to share the stories. And then maybe we need to name it good stories over the coffee. So like you're going to have coffee at the same time, talk about your stories. For example, not only theoretical or not only something mathematical or astronomical, but something that based it on their real life so that people can feel it. And then if someone maybe achieving like during doing like studies, art studies, and maybe they're also experiencing your challenge, like that pain you had. So maybe your stories can be something that can help them to shape their future, right? So I think, yeah, that's why I came up with some stories, which is
I love it. I loved it. As soon as I saw it, it gives me an opportunity to drink some more coffee during the day, which I love to do. And, as you know, I'm from the United States. I moved here in 1989, and I know you're from even further away. Where are you from?
I'm from Uzbekistan. It's Central Asia. Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you know that many people, whenever I say that I'm from Uzbekistan, they say that, oh, you're from Pakistan. I say, I'm not from Pakistan. They always change to Stan.
Yeah, but there's a lot of countries there with Stan. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And how long have you been in Canada for?
I've been here in Canada for 5 months.
Mhm.
And then, one quick fact I would also share with you. Whenever I say that I'm from Uzbekistan, people, they say, oh, you're from Uzbekistan, but I saw that you're Arab. Or there's people, they say you look like someone for Colombia. Because it feels like I'm Colombian, like South American guy. Or I think it's nice to say that, oh, you're from United Arab Emirates. I say, no, guys, I'm from Uzbekistan, which is kind of central part of Asia.
Yeah, exactly. And what made you want to come to Canada and be a student and really start making a life for yourself here in Canada?
That's a good question, Steve. Thank you for giving this question. Well, there are so many stories I would also share with you about about my decision that I came here to Canada. Before coming to Canada, I had lots of challenges and thoughts. Maybe should I come to Canada or should I stay in my country? Well, first of all, I came to Canada because I had long dream. When I was 15 years old, I had a dream to come to US. And I achieved my dream at the age of 19. And then I went to Harvard for program project. And that was exactly at Harvard in the Kennedy School. So it was a good.
Wow.
I really got a good experience in the business and then like that school. And then after that, when I came to Canada, after America, because it felt like maybe the best things I compare Canada and America. Both countries are good, but in terms of safety and then opportunities for new opportunities, I mean, that Canada is right now in the stage of industrialization. Now it's stage of developing and innovating, right? So, and I thought maybe Canada is the best option because that time I was accepted to University of Canada West, and I saw that University of Canada West is also the best for my growth. And then even the time I was pursuing a bachelor's degree. So it was Tashkent State University of Economics, but I dropped out the class because I had to Canada. And then I even said, maybe I don't care about my degree at this university. I should start Canada. I should start my journey to Canada, like journey was to Canada.
So you made your decision to leave the United States and to move to Canada.
Exactly.
Was that
a hard decision? Actually, it was hard because in America, I had only B1 and B2 visa. It was business visa. So yeah, B1 and B2 visa, but I can still change my visa for F1 and it takes like 1 year. But for changing this, you should have still like proof like, for example, which school you want to apply, what scholarship you have, what's the purpose, what made you to stay here in America, and then, like, you should collect lots of proofs, and it can help you to get the F1 visa in 1 year. And then, but anyways, I try to be in America for 1.5 months, and I spent my more than 10 days in Boston, in Massachusetts, because I was going there to school Harvard for a program. And after that, I spent my rest of my days in Chicago with my granny. And then I talked with lawyers. So lawyers, they said that we came up with lots of solutions, and you can stay in America, but you should wait for 1 year. And I said, maybe Canada is the best option.
Is your granny in Chicago?
Yes,
Is that the person I met the other day?
exactly.
She's wonderful. What's her name?
Mubarak.
Mubarak?
Yeah, we call her Maya.
Hi, she's wonderful. She was a real sweetheart. She seems like a very wise person.
Exactly. She was a businesswoman actually in the back in time.
No,
She was selling carpet, and she was going to lots of countries. And then she was a businesswoman, and she had also store. She had 2 stores.
fantastic.
Yes.
I could tell right away when I met her. She seemed very, very with a lot of wisdom, but she also seemed very, very nice. But I bet you she's got an edge to her when she sits at the business table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you made the decision to leave the United States and pursue an education in Canada. And how long ago? How long ago did you make that decision?
Actually, I made this decision 2024. It was in March. It was exactly.
Was it hard to get a visa to come to Canada?
Well, you know that it's actually difficult for all the Asian country people. So you know that in Asian, it's difficult to convince the immigration lawyer, like sorry, visa officers, because like you need to like the visa financial loss statement, your documents. Your documents should be proper. If you don't have a proper
course.
document, yeah, they will definitely reject. And there are so many students who got rejected. And for me, it took overall it took me 4.5 months.
That's not bad at all. You know, when I immigrated to Canada in '89, I married a Canadian, and she tried Los Angeles for a couple of years and said, no, this isn't for me. We're moving back to Canada. So I filed my papers for landed immigrant, and it took 12 months to get the approval. Yeah, it took me over 12 months to get the approval.
Oh,
Yeah, and I married a Canadian, so
you're Canadian American.
Yeah.
Oh, no, American Canadian.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So how has it been for you so far in Canada?
Well, I can see that, coming to another country, it's always difficult. First of all, you will have problems like homesickness, and you'll have some problems with cultural differences, like, culture shock. And then, but before, I can tell you that I've been in many countries before, because when I wasn't back home, my country, Uzbekistan, Ministry of Higher Education, they really supported me, and I went to Hong Kong, and I did my research at the Hong Kong University, Science and Technology. I did free, like my kind of research there, and then government supported me and it funded me. And then, first of all, when I went to Hong Kong, it was difficult because it's my first time to be outside myself alone without my parents. But it was good. I can, go with that, and it was easy for me because I just, can you imagine? I just came to the Hong Kong first time in the most time, and then I spent like in a way 14 hours and more than 14 hours because I had layover too. And then I came to Beijing, and from Beijing to, to Hong Kong. And there were a lot of problems between, because like that there is a political issues
Yeah, of
between
course.
China and Hong Kong. I had
Yeah.
also problem like, challenge with getting my ticket, and they didn't give me ticket, but it was so difficult. But after coming to Hong Kong, no one was not in the airport to meet with me, to get me to hotel. I took my baggage, and I said, okay, let's go. I will, God will help me to find, like, I don't know. Anyways, I tried to find and try to look through my phone location, and found that there is a bus station, and I took the bus ticket, and then I spent my, more than 40 minutes to get to the Hong Kong city. Yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't good. But when I came here to Canada, I can say Canada was easier because of my past experience. And then the people here are so much friendly.
Oh, it's a lot easier to get around in Vancouver than it is in Hong Kong. There's no doubt about that. I've been to Hong Kong many times. So, yeah. So I agree with you. It's a little more friendly of a city too, because it's much smaller and not so many people.
No, exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's going to be great to work together and to have you producing this program because, well, first of all, I don't even know where to start when it comes to a podcast. I just thought it was a great idea to do. I really have a passion for just sharing with the world what people do. And I'm hoping that this will share with people what immigrants do for Canada. And you and I both being immigrants and both being new to Canada, although I've been here a lot longer than you. I've been lucky enough to build quite a
How many years?
life.
Years? Sorry.
I moved here in '89.
Oh,
So
more than
yeah,
20 years.
yeah. Oh, much more than that. More like 35 years or something like
35
that.
years. You're
Yeah.
already Canadian. That
Yeah.
you spent
No,
your
no,
half
I'm
years
definitely
here.
a citizen. Yeah. So, well, I was young when I moved here. I was in my early 20s.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
20.
just like you.
Just like me. Oh my God.
And I had a great job in LA working for a college, and it was difficult to move up here and make the change. But, when my wife told me she didn't want to be in the United States anymore, I said, I understand. LA is a tough place if you're not used to it. If you're raised in a really nice part of Vancouver and you move to LA and not such a very nice place, we did live in a great place in LA. It's scary. It's a different kind of a vibe. It's a different speed. So I asked her to try it for 2 years and she did. So she said, I really want to go back. I think it has a lot to do with her family. Her family's here. So my family's spread out around the United States and her family's all here in Vancouver, or a lot of it's here in Vancouver. So it was a great decision. I'm really glad that I moved here. I love going back to the States. As you know, I own a place down in the States and I love going down there often. But I find that there was a lot of opportunity for me. I think there was a lot more opportunity in 1989 than there. I mean, there's still a lot of opportunity, but there's a lot more competition now. You see, when I moved here, it wasn't so far after Expo. It was a few years after Expo, and that's when the world really got to know Vancouver, was at the Expo. You know, I think Expo was 86, wasn't it? Somewhere around there. So I moved here in '89, nothing to do with Expo, but it just happened to be, and people were moving here, and Vancouver was starting to think about growing. And it really, that's when I was told it's really starting to grow. And then we have the Olympics, and yeah, and that really had us grow a lot more. And now this city looks completely different than it did when I moved here in 1989. 2025 is a much different place here in Vancouver than it was in 1989. So back then, I got a job with a small college. Actually, it was one of the biggest colleges in the province, but it was a small college by LA standards. And I had a great boss. One person was named Larry Breitkreitz, and my mentor, Ben Wenlin. And Ben really took me under his arms and mentored me. I still consider him my mentor. And he really helped me settle into Canada. And he let me take my skills from LA and put them into Vancouver. And we grew the company very quickly together. We went from a couple of schools to 7 colleges, and we did a very good. So I think my success is not just moving to Canada and having some skills, but it's being at the right place at the right time. I moved here 12 months after I moved here to the day I bought my first house. Yeah, I saved $1,000 a month and I put $12,000 down on my first house. Now, who's going to buy a home now with $12,000 down?
I think it's very possible.
No, it's completely impossible. You need $150,000, $200,000 down minimum. And then you're carrying anywhere between a $700,000 and $1 million mortgage.
Exactly. Now it's more than million. So
Yeah,
depends
yeah.
on marketplace.
So opportunities are much different now. But that being said, things are different. We've had so many people still moving to Vancouver and still moving to Canada, because I think although it may be more competitive now, there's still so much that can be done in Canada because it's a growing country.
Yeah.
To think that we have 10% of the population of the United States, but our landmass is larger than the United States. It's amazing. There's so much that Canada still has to offer to the world. So I hope to be able to share my story with everyone at the same time I am hearing other people's stories. But I wanted to be able to ask you a few questions because you're not going to be on this side of the microphone very often. You're going to be in the background doing all the hard work. I get to do the easy work and talk to people, which I love to talk to people, and you're going to do the hard work, like make sure that we get filmed right and the audio's right, do the editing. And so I really want to thank you for being willing to produce this.
Yeah, thank you so much for you too.
I really appreciate it. I think we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you hoping that we accomplish in the next 12 months?
I know for sure for the next 12 months, the most important thing is we need to have change the people's life. And then what it needs, I wanted people to follow millions of people follow us, subscribers, and always follow us. And because I never heard that from Vancouver, there's a podcast, some maybe professional podcast, the podcast which is very famous for it. Because in Vancouver, there is no podcast, and I think will be the one in Vancouver.
Well, what I say is I hope you're right. I'm going to be really happy if we can just get a bunch of people listening to us. It's so hard to grow a podcast, and I just don't know how interesting that I'm going to be. But I know my guests will be interesting. So I do hope that we can bring some inspiration to immigrants, and we can shed some light to the Canadians. This is not going to be a political podcast, but I do want Canadians to know how important immigrants are to this country. I just take a look at when I moved here in '89, and it, the difference, the industry, the arts, the music, the culture has changed so much, and I think so much for the better because of all of the different people that immigrate here, that live here. And so that's what I want to show to the Canadians, and then to the immigrants, I want to say, hey, there's so much you can accomplish here. There's so much you can do. It's not easy. It's tough. I know immigrants that come here, they're doctors in their country, they're nurses in their country, they're engineers in their country, and they come here and they're working for, minimum wage jobs to get started. I got to tell you, the stories I've heard of people moving here, being willing to work for minimum wage, and what they've accomplished, and 20 years later, 30 years later, what they've done is just incredible. I'm going to bring some guests that I know that survived World War II in Europe, survived the Holocaust, and came here with nothing, and made a life for themselves and added so much to the culture of Canada. We're going to bring on entrepreneurs that you and I both know that have done so much for the country. We're going to bring on politicians that moved here just for a better life, and now they're able to give back to the country by being a politician and helping run the country. We're going to talk to so many different types of people, so I'm really excited. So, if anyone's listening right now, I urge you to come back to listen to more of our podcasts and to send us an email.
Exactly.
And say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do. Do we have an email address yet?
We will create this.
Okay. We'll put that up there, and we'll let people know. We're definitely going to be on YouTube and some other platforms so people can leave us messages and tell us what they want to hear. And let's hope we get a lot of students in Vancouver, especially from UCW.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're filming from right now. And we really do have a great group of students here. We have 14,000 amazing students. I was a professor here before I went into the administration, and we really have amazing, amazing students that are going to accomplish a lot over the years here in Canada. So again, thank you very much. Anything else you want to add before we end this day off?
I know for sure this is a podcast, Coffee Between Two Immigrants, and let's drink coffee.
For sure. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone out there for listening. And we look forward to having some amazing guests, some inspirational time, and just some time to sit down and sip and learn a little bit about each other.
Sure, Steve.
Okay. See y'all later.
Thanks for watching this episode of Coffee Between Two Immigrants. Please be sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.